Hey now, welcome to the Dirty Side of the Track, America's leading Formula One podcast. I'm Brian, that's Rob. A few hours ago was the U.S. Grand Prix from COTA. We'll get into that whole situation from the weekend here shortly. Welcome, Rob. How are you, man?
I know we're going to get into it later, but I'm angry, Brian. I can feel a Rob's rant coming on. I'm like, Pirelli are at the center of my ire. I'm like, I will get there later. I can't start on a Rob's rant. We've got to ease our way in. We've got to
You mean the Grand
build
Prix
up
from
to
the,
it.
the circuit of tire anger?
Oh, how long were you working on that one?
2.5 hours.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I hate to admit it, but that's genius. Can
Well,
we
that's
start recording again and I can lead with that one? Because I really
Oh, God. Anyway.
Anyway, so regular listeners, welcome. New people, welcome. We are gonna hit news and social, so we'll take a look at what caught our eye in the news over the week, and then because it's a sprint weekend, we will jump over the video vault because Brian was too busy again. But it doesn't matter because we've got lots and lots of stuff to unpack because it was a sprint weekend. Take a look at that. Take a look at the race. We'll come up with our thoughts. We'll listen to Pitlane Paul and what he thought, and then we'll jump into a Mexico preview for next week. So I think we just get stuck in at the beginning then, Brian. And this one splits the dirty side down the middle, I believe.
It does.
It does. So, Apple has won the rights to broadcast Formula One in the United States for the next 5 years in a deal said to be worth $750 million.
Dang.
It's a lot of dollars.
It is. It starts next year in 26. It replaces ESPN here in the States. And there's all kinds of information about this coming out where we'll find out a more dynamic and elevated viewing experience takes hold. As we said, the deal is supposedly, but not announced, worth $750 million. Apparently now they're paying $90 million, so $150 a year is over the $90 a year paid by ESPN. ESPN at the same time issued a statement which we got our hands on. Quote, "We're incredibly proud of what we in Formula One accomplished together in the United States and look forward to a strong finish in this final season. We wish F1 well in the future," end quote. I don't have Apple TV.
Sorry,
I don't have Apple
sorry.
TV.
Before you get into your rant about Apple, I did. This is just me being stupid, but when I saw the ESPN statement where it said, "We wish F1 well in the future," to me, that was immediately followed by, "This statement was brought to you by Mother's Polish," and then would move on to a completely different. Like, we wouldn't even be allowed to see the end of the statement
Like
because,
Nicole
like, they're
Briscoe
done.
is reading it and then cuts it off and sends it somewhere else. That's good.
100%.
That's good.
100%.
I mean,
So,
I don't have Apple. And so then there was a very confusing statement that says if you have F1 TV Pro, which I think that's what we have, right? We
yes.
both, yeah.
Yep.
But you won't have to pay for that. That'll be included free as long as you're a paid subscriber. I'm like, well, it's not free then, and it's not included. You have to be a paid subscriber. So once you pay for one thing, you make it a second thing? I don't know.
Well,
Question.
I don't
And what
know.
happens to multi-viewer? Question. And like, I have
I
so many questions. Question.
question. The way I read it, because I found this out in reverse order of all of this kind of stuff because I hadn't been paying attention and I got the email from F1 TV that basically said your subscription will not be allowed to be renewed next year,
Got that one.
but if you're an Apple TV subscriber, you will automatically renew and you won't have to pay for it. So I think, unless I'm about to get stiffed royally in a way that I can't comprehend yet, I think I'm getting F1 TV for free
Right.
next year, in inverted commas, because I already subscribe to Apple
And,
TV.
and that's
So
my
therefore,
hope.
I think in the same way that the Amazon TV for stuff for me is kind of free because I have Amazon Prime and they bundle it together. I think I lose a subscription next year. I can't believe that's true. They
That
always
can't be
find a
right.
way to stiff you,
Yeah,
right?
there's
So
there's no one has ever made out positively in any of these deals. They're screwing you
never.
left, right, and center. There's no way. Whatever you want, Leo gets, and there's no way this is going to work out for us. So to me, I don't understand how this will work. But if you're right, and if the thing is right, I should be able to subscribe to Apple TV and then get F1 TV free. So maybe it just replaces my payment for F1 TV.
Yes, and then you get all the Apple
Question?
TV stuff on. Yeah.
Right.
By the way, did you just slide a Lethal Weapon 2
I did.
quote?
Whatever
That
you
was
want, Leo
brilliant.
gets. Yeah.
I love it. Well done. That is genius.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. So I mean, I don't. As long as I'm not paying for an additional net new subscription, if I can remove
Yes.
F1 TV and pay for Apple TV, and Apple TV, by the way, is removing the Plus. They're no longer Apple TV Plus. There's Apple TV, which is a good idea because everyone's removing their pluses from the thing at this point because it's hard to type that into your email to send a bill to say, hey, stop sending me extra pluses. Oh God! But can I just seriously one real question on this? How are we ever going to add any more casual fans in the States? Like, you can't go to a
Why?
bar. Bars don't have Apple TV, do they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
They all
yeah, they
have
do.
ESPN. They all
They
have
all have
ESPN.
they all have everything these
No,
days,
they
Brian.
don't. Not
So
the cheap
no,
ass bars I go to.
well, okay. When my brother-in-law was over and we went into my local sports bar and he wanted to watch the darts on TV and the only thing that was carrying it was Peacock and the barmaid turned around and went, "Yeah, sure, we've got Peacock." And she just clicked a button and she opened up what looked like a Fire Stick and they had all of the subscriptions. They had Apple TV, Prime, everything. If you found the darts on Peacock, we were
Okay.
happy. I'm pretty sure most bars will.
Well,
You can't get one subscription these days anymore, right?
I know,
The
but you
whole
don't have
click
to have
record
that one,
thing.
is my point. There's so many. Like, I
Mm,
was watching this weekend, I was up with my dad. He has ESPN because the whole world in America has ESPN. And so we turned it on. I mean, I guess I could log into my account, my Apple account next year for him. But like, if I talk to a friend and like, hey, do you want to, do you watch the race tomorrow? You want to check it out? They'd be like, I don't have Apple. And a casual person ain't going to add Apple just for F1.
no, true. I know,
Anyway,
but
whatever, whatever.
we'll
Moving
see.
on.
Moving on. The ongoing saga of will they, won't they, will they, won't they, will they, won't they. Well, finally, the answer was yes, they will. Mercedes have finally confirmed George and Kimi will be their 2026 driver lineup. So no more hot seats there. That's it. Merkel locked in, which we kind of thought was going to be the case, but it just
100%.
seemed to take forever for them to confirm it. So
I don't know what they were trying to translate it into Italian for Kimmy. I don't understand what took so long.
talking of Italian, Charles rubbished talk of him moving. Like last week, we said, "Oh, there's a silly season rumor that Charles and Oscar are going to swap seats," and he was like, "Nope, I have a desire, and this is a quote: I have a desire to win in red, and I trust the project." And we'll come back to it, I think, in the race later when we look at some of this. But Charles seems, at least he's playing the corporate good boy.
Yeah.
And he's doubled down on, no, this is rubbish. I'm Ferrari. Cut me in half and I bleed prancing horses.
He's always wanted to be at Ferrari. He's at
Yeah,
Ferrari, and without knowing who's going to nail next year's regs, why would you leave?
no, agree. And talking of next year, Regs, which is a brilliant little segue,
Thank you. I
a
tried.
new team to the grid, we all know is Cadillac. And I was kind of like trying to find some news this week because it was quite a slow news week. But I did like this. So Pat Simmons, who's at Cadillac, and he's been around the block for like eons. He's basically Formula One through and through, is Pat Simmons. And he was talking about the size of a task of getting a team like Cadillac ready for next year. And he said, we didn't actually get our official entry until the 7th of March. And that's 364 days before FP1 in Australia. And you cannot put a team together in 364 days. So there's an incredible amount of commitment prior to that to get everybody ready. So he was kind of giving insights to say, look, you can't wait until you get given the blessings of F1 that you're on board. You have to do a lot of stuff before. And he was talking about how they built a prototype chassis, not because they ever intended it to be race worthy, but they just needed to be able to get through the huge amounts of, what do you say, a very high number and very difficult safety tests that you must pass. That before you even worry about putting aerodynamics or weight or anything on a chassis, you just need to prove to the FIA that you're actually going to pass all the safety tests. So they did
Yeah.
that, like, apparently ages before. Basically, Cadillac were all in on thinking they were definitely going to get approved. So they went in ahead of time to get all this kind of stuff. And I think it's amazing. He said, and then you can chip in here, Brian, but like he said, it's a challenge. It's an awful lot to do. I'm not going to say that building an F1 car is easy. It's not easy. But I've now done around 40 of them. So you sort of get to know what has to be done by when and when it needs to be done by. It's like Yes, getting that's a really clever play from Cadillac to get somebody that has been around the block that understands, right? You've got all this crap you've got to get sorted before you even care about whether your car is fast. And he's just working behind the scenes to kind of go, yeah, like by this date we need to have a chassis that's safety compliant, and by this day we need to do this. And I just I just feel like Cadillac are going about this the right way.
Yeah, I do too. I'm excited about it. And it takes, he said it's 364 days to the first race from when they're approved. And it takes at least 364 days to tell Checo he's got to crash in Singapore so Valtteri can get points. Moving on, we don't have a video vault. Sorry, he's one of two people who were found culpable for Crashgate. I can't let that go. I'm too old. The video vault, and Flavio is a team principal right now, so apparently we've all fine. Video vault is off this week. I was traveling between work and then family. I wasn't around to watch any of the YouTubes. So
let's replace it with livery vaults.
Yes. Do you want me to open the livery vault?
Yeah, open the livery vault.
I did see, as I was on my travels, I did see some notes about the liveries that were coming through, but I never actually saw any of them until the race weekend started. And I'm confused. I'll let you do sort of the person who was aware that this was happening recap, and then I'll do the person who popped in on Friday and said, what in the hell is Racing Bulls doing?
So I'm kind of with you because I will 100% say, Kerry, Coffee Corner Motorsport, your new website is brilliant. And I took a lot of this from your article about the liveries because I'd not really seen it. I'd not been able to watch practice live. I didn't even see kind of the sprint quali live. So I'd not got a view of this. So I took everything from you, Terry. So, Racing Bulls. They apparently did. Cash App have a tortoise card. Whatever.
Right.
I guess
okay.
it's a card that looks like a tortoise shell. And they all must have got round at some kind of executive meeting going, do you know what looked really good on a car is like, we've got this Cash App sponsor and they've got this tortoise card. And if somehow we could make a car look like a tortoise, that would be amazing.
But aren't
So
turtles green?
no, tortoise shell. Think of a tortoise shell.
Aren't most turtle shells green?
No, you've been watching too much Ninja Turtles. You're thinking Donatello, Raphael.
But they're definitely not orange, are they?
No, yeah, they are. If you've got like a snapping, they look, tortoise shell, orange and black is a thing.
Okay.
However, randomly picking parts of the Racing Bulls car and looking like someone sneezed on it in tortoise color, I wasn't a big fan of this one at all.
It
No.
actually. Do you remember my favorite one in the last couple of years, the Japanese Grand Prix Haas? With the blossoms on it, and when it was stopped, it was amazing. And they had that 1 minute teaser video that I watched 40 times, and I thought it was great. And then it went on track, and it was just a pink blur. That.
But at least that looked nice when it was static.
Correct.
This one, what's that?
But you definitely couldn't see what they were going for when it was under speed. It was just a orange blur.
And then we had Aston Martin, which actually I was going to wait until the end of all of this. I think I have to say it now. Maybe one of my favorite for an impact when you could see it in motion, which was so they did two things. They had a science theme, which I haven't looked into, which they had all these F1 mathematical formulas that were over in the, like yellow in the small print over the kind of the side pods, which apparently were legitimate F1 aerodynamic formulas. Okay, great. What they also did was they put their sponsor name, was it Aramco?
Aramco, yeah.
Yep. In fluorescent yellow.
Loved it.
And it popped.
It
popped, and not only did it pop in static pictures, on race day or any in-motion thing, you were like, that looks cool. That's a really nice touch. Couldn't ever see the formula. The cars had to be stopped, and you had to zoom in to see the formula, but that sponsor name popped.
You say you couldn't see the formula as they were driving, but I'm pretty sure Esteban saw it when Lance ran right into him. Esteban turned left and goes, "Oh, E equals MC squared plus 2 minus the square root of pi."
He went, E equals MC squared. So then we had McLaren, which I've cropped this out of Terry's article because I love it when you get marketing BS like this. They had an iridescent livery enhancement. Ooh, yes, show me more. created alongside Google Gemini, inspired by the Gemini color palette, which really all it really meant was the whatever it is the what do they call it the engine cover had a slightly different color that kind of looked chrome in some angles and kind of looked white in another. It was fine. It popped on track, kinda, but yeah. Next, um, Pass went down the good old stars and stripes method. I like it.
That was
You
okay.
couldn't see it under motion, but it looked nice in the stills. It
Not
was,
as cool as my Packer shirt with the flag on the sleeve.
no, nowhere near as cool as that, Brian. Then I'm going to skip one because I'm going to come back to my favorite last. Sorry, Brian, I haven't even told you which one was my favorite. But then we had Alpine that kind of just remember a couple of years ago when Ferrari did the little yellow thing. They
Yes.
teased us so we might have a yellow Ferrari, and it was just to do with the sponsor, and we had like one little body panel that was
Yeah.
yellow, and we're like, is that it? Well, copy paste Alpine.
I
They
and that was my least favorite one, even though I didn't like the RB that much, because I didn't know it was Alpine. Because also the rear wing was a little yellow, and the rear of the car was a little yellow, and there's no yellow normally on an Alpine. And I'm like, is that a Haas that we're not a Haas? I mean, is that a Williams that we're doing this to? I kind of expected it from maybe it's a Williams, maybe it's in like all the cars it could be. And I had to like cycle through all the cars on the grid. Oh, that's right, it's the Alpine again. Every time I saw the back of an Alpine. The good news is no one was really behind an Alpine all weekend, so it wasn't a real big problem. But like the couple times that Bortoletto was challenging Pierre and Franco, and I'm like, those are the Alpines? Question.
then Oh, do you know what? It doesn't take much to just get me going, but Williams did a 2002 throwback livery, and they said it was to do with Atlassian, which it really can't be because they weren't partners with them back in
I don't think
2002.
they were around in
But whatever,
2002, but anyway.
Whatever. What they really did was they kind of like simplified all the blue that was on the car, but the nose of the car was white, and it just gave me flashbacks to, well, I don't know when. When was Valtteri in a Williams? They had the Martini livery, didn't they? It was
14?
white, and yeah, that white nose on the Williams with the blue around it. This was my favorite by a mile. I just thought it looked sweet. I don't
Yeah.
know what you thought, Brian,
I,
but
I liked it as well. I still like the Aston Martin more. Just that
yes,
yellow
that's
pop for
good.
me, like
Yeah,
was
yeah.
visible at all times everywhere, and it was a good color, so I thought it was great. So then we went into practice. Oh, I should close the livery vault. I forgot. It's open.
Oh yes,
Can't let the livery vault remain open.
all those liveries will just escape everywhere otherwise.
That's right. That's right. Practice, practice, practice. So first off, we were filling some time during. I watched practice live on Friday. I took the day off and I watched it live with my dad, who slept through it all, which speaks to volumes to FP1. So Paul, I hear you. Practice. Esteban, speaking of sleep, sleeps 12 hours a night. Was in his little note, and the commentators were trying to figure out how that would actually work. Like, I have to get home by 8 p.m. so that I can get my 12 hours of sleep and wake up at 8 a.m. and start. Like, that's physically impossible to get 12 hours of sleep as a person with any kind of job.
But the
Right?
funny thing was that Jensen or whoever it was got all confused. They kind of like, well, that means like if he's here at 9 o'clock, no, maybe Crofty, maybe this was the beginning of Crofty's insane weekend where he couldn't commentate. Was like, well, he was here at 9 a.m. this morning. That means he went to bed at 9 p.m. last night. And like Jensen was like, well, no, because he's got to travel to the track. So he must have had to go to bed early. I was like, really? Is this what we come to now that we're having to debate what time somebody went to bed?
But
Like
12 hours.
the action. Yeah,
12
I know.
hours is absolute insanity. The second thing I loved about practice before we get to the so whats was Isaac Hajar's driving around, and his team engineer kept saying how far he was from Bottas a couple times. And he goes, he's not on the grid, mate. And it was just, and then they cut to Valtteri in the Mercedes garage, and he had seen the messages on the TV. So they cut to Valtteri, and when he realizes the camera's on him, there's a delay. He turns to the camera and kind of shrugs, like, I'm not out there.
I'm not out there. What the hell's going on?
That
I was like, what the heck was his engineer on
I,
about?
I don't know.
Right. Then we go to sprint quali. And
Wait, one last thing on practice.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Lando looked kind of fast. The
He
Ferraris
did,
looked
yeah.
like they were nowhere. And Max
Agreed.
seemed to have comfort with his car.
Mm.
And that was interesting to me.
It is, and I have a whole theory on Red Bull, but I'm gonna keep my powder dry till we get to the end of the race.
All right.
But
If you're going to tell me that they had all these upgrades ready to go and Christian Horner wouldn't allow them to come through, but Laurent Mecky has decided to say, send them through, it's all a Laurent situation, I'll believe it.
I have a different view, but it's not a million miles away from that. But I'm going to
really?
Keep my
I was just making up stuff.
No, I'm going to keep it for later, Brian. Little teaser trailer.
Sprint Qualy.
So I didn't watch any of Sprint Qualy. I'll honestly admit that I kind of was looking at it on BBC Sport. I was keeping an eye on it, but I didn't even watch the highlights. So can you help me out here? Because according to the BBC website, Liam Lawson was both in Q1 and in Q2. I don't understand what happened. So if I look at the Sprint Quali one, Bortoletto didn't set a lap time. I don't know why. Did he get lap time deleted?
Can't remember.
Never. Okay, right. So then Ocon was out, Tsunoda was out,
yes.
Colapinto was out, Behrman was out. But then 15th spot, registering a Q1 and not Q2, they have Lawson as a 134 and said he was out. Okay, fine. Weird. We got 6 cars out in Q1. I don't get it. We go to SQ2 and the website has from 11th down Antonelli, Hadjar, Gasly, Stroll, and Lawson. So which one was Lawson out in? I mean, it doesn't really matter. He ends up being 15th, but
I think 2. I'm fairly certain he made it to 2, if I remember right.
Yeah, maybe it's a glitch on the website. It doesn't make any sense to me.
But so what was fascinating was just the lack of pace of the Ferraris, because they made it to SQ3, but it was by the skin of their teeth. Charles had to go out in SQ2 and put in a big lap to even make it through. He was potentially in the drop zone. It was just crazy. They looked like they had nothing. And at the same time, what I really was like getting excited for was quietly the Williams looked like they had pace. And they did not get a lot of attention. And I'm sitting there at the TV trying to explain to my dad what Williams as a team is and what this means. But Albon was 9th, Sainz was 7th, and of course Hulkenberg was 4th in the Sauber, which is nuts. But everyone was talking about Hulk. Everyone was talking about Max, who took Sprint Quali pole. Great. Those are great things to talk about. But I agree with anyone. The Ferraris looked so slow all day Friday. And the Williams were looking good on Friday.
Yeah.
I love it.
And Alonso, I mean, if you look at Sprint Quali, you've got Hulk, like you say, in 4th. Alonso sneaking into 6th. I'm like, oh, this could be spicy come race day. So then we get the sprint start. And so I'm up at, my son has a parents' day at his college. We're up in Amherst, and I'm walking around trying to pay attention to stuff, but I also have the sprints on, so I'm kind of looking at my phone. I'm like, I look down and BBC Sport has kind of got, like, literally, I'm refreshing because I know it's about to be lights out. So it can only have been about, like, what felt like 10 seconds out of lights out. I refresh it and it says, both McLarens out. I'm like, this can't be right. This has got to be some sort of weird little report that's not going on. But I did this morning, when I woke up, I watched the whole sprint in replay at like 6:30 this morning. And yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where Zach pointed the finger at Hulk. He has since
at the heat of the moment,
watched it in the heat of the moment, gone, Hulk's an idiot, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's since looked at it and gone, yeah, Hulk actually wasn't to blame because he looked at it and if you want to put in the dictionary definition racing incident,
yes,
I think you can just frame this whole thing, which is that different drivers get better starts than others, and what we end up is like almost 5 abreast going into the first corner. It's not really 5 because you've got 3 on one line and 2 out a little bit wider, but essentially 5 into 2 or 5 into 1 doesn't go. So cars have to try to concertina together, and guess what? There is impact.
Yeah.
And it's just pure bad luck that the impact that happens takes both the McLarens out. I mean, I think Lando is the most innocent out of all of this.
Yeah.
Most innocent.
Minding his own business, minding his own P's and Q's, doesn't even see it happening. And all of a sudden he gets tossed around. Zach was hot at the moment. He did blame. And that's fine. He did come out later and say it was wrong. I would say it is by far the total definition of
just an incident.
But if you're going to say it's that, does anyone cause it? Yes. It was Oscar. And so I would say, I was texting with buddies. 100% Oscar caused the racing incident. If he doesn't cut left to try to get around there, there's no accident. I know it sounds odd to say someone caused a racing incident because it's a racing incident. It's turn 1, lap 1, racing incident, but Oscar has to look in the mirror and say, I caused that to happen. If I don't cut left that hard, I don't hit Hulk. He doesn't hit Fernando. I don't get thrown into Lando. And so he did, though. And again, I'm not saying he should get a penalty. I'm not saying he caused a collision. He caused a domino effect, which created a big racing incident, in my opinion. So, I'm happy there was no penalty. I'm happy he didn't get 5 seconds. I'm happy he didn't get a grid thing. But he 100% can't expect that spot to be open the way he did when he first lap.
You 100%, because what Oscar sees, like me and you being the full-time Formula One drivers that we are, we understand this, right? Is that Oscar arrives in
708 podiums between us.
Oh yeah, easily. Oscar arrives at a situation where Lando and Max are challenging each other, and they've both taken themselves wide to try to cover each other. So Oscar goes, I could do the switchback or the cutback here, and I could go underneath both of these two guys and say, see you later, alligator. And that's great because he's looking forward. He's looking what's transpiring in front of him. And in that instance, he goes, I've got this. I can cut back under both of these two guys and I'll be in the lead. I'm the Drivers' Championship leader. Hold my beer. Here I go. And unfortunately, the moment he decides to do that, he hasn't had the chance, or whatever reason, he hasn't realized that he has both Hulk and Alonso on that inside line. So the moment he cuts back to go and stick it to Max and Lando, he just runs into the other two guys that are there. Maybe he didn't expect them to make as good a start because everyone behind, I don't think Max and Lando made a brilliant start. I think almost everybody else made a brilliant start, which put everybody up for grabs in corner number 1. And unfortunately, everybody can't make a good exit from corner 1. And yeah, it was unfortunate. I really felt sorry for Hulk and Alonso all this because they hadn't really done anything wrong. They were just like living their best life. Like, we're right up at the front of the sprint. This is amazing. And we've made amazing starts. We could maybe take on the McLarens. Oh, no, they've taken us out. I mean,
totally. And then we get some racing. I'll be honest, it wasn't the greatest sprint we've ever had. George trying to dive bomb on Max. That was never going to happen. Go ahead.
So on that one, I'm interested here. I don't get. This is the first time that I really look at a race and I don't get what's happening. George, it was lap 8 when George made the dive bomb, right? So he spent 7 laps eating into Max's lead, got into DRS, decided he was going to dive bomb from a different zip code that was never going to happen, right? Well, I mean, that move was never happening. But I'm like, okay, George, fine, go for it. Try and unsettle Max. The moment that he did it, it didn't come off. It was like suddenly he went, yeah, I haven't got the pace to match Max anymore, so I'm going to just go into witness protection, not bother again. It's like
saved up batteries, had his tires in the perfect window. He's like, now or never. And you know what it was? Never. But then I loved on 9 the Ferrari move. We didn't see Charles go off the track in the S's. We didn't see that, or wherever it was prior to the turn 11 straight afterwards. I love the fact that Lewis was able to get that close, cut him on the inside, and take that corner without seeing what happened before that. You're just like, all right, Lewis had good pace. No, it's a great example of a small mistake. Leaving the track, losing pace, costs you later on in the lap. And I love that happened. I love Charles and I love Lewis. So I was just getting a little nervous Ferrari on Ferrari situation. But that was great. However, can we go to my last thing I want to talk about from the sprint? Towards the end, last 2 laps or 3 laps left, Lance, we already referenced it, is coming down the main straight. Oh, I should say coming up the main straight as he's coming to turn 1. And Esteban is kind of tootling along towards the back. He leaves a ton of space on the inside. He's really just kind of not even taking a solid racing line. He's just turning in Saturday afternoon. I almost said stroll. And then all of a sudden Lance comes in. He's like, "Hey, how you doing, Esty?" And he somehow manages to lock up all 5 of his tires. I don't know how he did it. And he went flying right into Esteban. And then the best part of it is Lance knows I did this. And he puts his hand up and waves at him like the minute after, like, sorry, sorry. And then just, that's it. And then we finish under safety car. And I had to get on the road. And so as soon as this happened, I'm like, oh, that'll be it. And I went to the bathroom. I got a water, got my bag. And my dad's like, the race is still going. No, it isn't. I'm like, safety car. It's going to end this way. I took off. So Lance, and then I was trying to explain. I'm like, if you had to pick the driver who would have done that, every fan would have said either Lance or one other guy who we're going to talk about later. But he was like, I don't know. I don't know what he was trying to do.
I don't know. It was like, it was just so far away to start that from. It was like, was he bored? And he just coming up the back straight and like, yeah, I think that door's open. I mean, it's probably going to close like 3 miles before I get there, but screw it. I'm going to send it now. And he sent it hard. Fair play to Lance for committing to it, right?
Yeah.
There was no part where he backed out of it. But I'm like, you were never making that corner ever.
No.
Like, ever.
And you're coming in so hot. There's no way you're not locking that up and sliding somewhere. So Max
100%.
won the sprint. George was second. Williams in third with Carlos. Just amazing. This is where we saw the Ferraris maybe being not as bad as we thought. And we kind of took fourth and fifth as, well, the McLarens are out. Therefore, this is why they're there. Maybe not. Maybe they're going to do a little better. Another Williams in sixth, getting some more points. Yuki and then Kimi. So Paul had some recaps from Friday and Saturday that I want to play. And let's hear from Pitlane Paul. Oh, you know what? Since it's the first one, we always got to get his music up first.
And maybe you could play his music and then straight into him.
He's Mr. Bedside.
Awesome. Paul's Friday review.
Or not.
Oh, hello all. It's qualifying on a Friday. It's a sprint weekend in Austin. Yeah, or whatever they say in that cowboy type style. It's hot. I'm wearing cowboy boots, as you do, because everyone does when they come to Austin. Why wouldn't you? Why would you not wear cowboy boots? You have the chance. Of doing that. And then, so this weekend my schedule is obviously Austin today, Austin tomorrow. For a short time, Austin on Sunday. I don't actually think I see the race because I'll be on a flight to San Francisco. Where's the first time I actually tried clam chowder, of all things. One of my favourite dishes, clam chowder.
In Texas?
So this will be the first of 3 chowders today, pleased to know. Practice this morning, was there anything really spectacular? I don't think there was. It's not really big news, really. I know you got your Apple TV thing going on with F1 next year over here. That'll be quite cool. Apart from that, quiet week. I mean, George Russell signing was not exactly a shock again. Why it took so long, I don't know. But let's wrap this up with qualifying. Bortoletto, Nightmare, Ocon, Behrman. I suppose Behrman's that far down. Just doesn't suit Haas here, although they'll claim it as their home race. It probably isn't really, I guess, without being spiteful. Yuki, absolute stuff of nightmares. Then you also got Colin Pinto, whatever. Liam Lawson, very hard done by, I thought, in Qualy 2. He was blocked, I'm sorry, but that's pretty awful. And that happens. It's what it is. Stroll, Gasly, good performance actually. If you look at Alpine's and that stuff, Hajar should have done better. Kimi Antonelli, again, that's a bit of a shocker too, not very good. And then we went to the top 10 and we all a little bit shocked George went that early, I guess. But it could have worked out, if there was a yellow flag at the end, it could have worked. It didn't, so, boo-hoo. Ferrari seem to be struggling, weirdly. I find mad, but okay, especially here. Lewis is normally really good around this place, so it is a little bit of a shocker. But again, Nico Hulkenberg. So for the first clam chowder, the Friday award goes to Nico Hulkenberg. Excellent, good for Sauber. Oh, excellent. And then you just got to look at Max Verstappen again. He's a freak. All I can say, absolute freak. Anyway, speak to you tomorrow. Hey now. So I'm going to do interim chowder here. Just because that sprint race, there's a bit going on, weren't there? Crumbs. Not many crumbs in a clam chowder. It's one of my favourite dishes, although not traditionally from San Francisco. It's still full of vitamin C in jelly and whatever they say on those dog adverts. I literally don't know where I'm going with that. Anyway,
happening here?
Sprint. Right, so let's have a little think. Normally these are pretty average, but on this occasion it turns out it was actually very unaverage. They're on their last lap at the moment, but it's behind the safety car, so I'm okay to actually have this chat, I guess. Sorry about the background noise as well. I am in the paddock. It is lively. Anyway, I'm still rabbiting. Let's just quickly go on about the opening lap. Right, Zach Brown. I think you're very disgraceful by claiming that Nico Hulkenberg was in any shape, way, or form to blame for that incident. I think if he looked at it again, he'd probably... I like to think he'd be a little bit red-faced. I think that's a really silly comment. Like,
he did.
There's no way.
He
there's
did.
nothing Nico could do. He had Fernando on the inside of him. He had to take the line. Lando, very, very innocent. No one's to blame. It's a lap one incident. It's a turn one incident. You don't understand how sharp that turn one is. It's absolutely insane. So for Oscar to try that move was brave. I mean, like the switch is great in theory what he's trying to do, but naturally the end result's exactly what actually happens. You're going to cut in like that. There are always going to be cars coming along. So I'm not blaming Oscar. I think it was a brave move, but it went badly wrong. And then there was sort of like not a great deal. Sort of there's a few little tussles. Ollie Behrman got a penalty for forcing Kimi off the track, which I think is fair. He could have let him pass, but he may as well sit there and he's going to get no points or he's going to get a 10-second penalty or whatever. So, yeah, I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to be the guy that talks about Lance. But let's talk about Lance.
Join us.
What in the clam chowder of the world was that move? That was exceptionally... I mean... If you'd done it on a PlayStation, I think the PlayStation had turned itself off. So it was a really bizarre one. One at a desperation.
A sap move.
Totally. That's my move.
Hear me out here. I don't mind the driver doing that if there's a legitimate chance of points. If he's going for like P8 and it's a big moment, I can sort of accept it a little bit. That is probably okay. Let's go for it. Let's risk it for a point. I think it was like P15. It's just a really bizarre move, and he just don't help himself, does he? He really don't. It's hard to defend him when you see stuff like that as well. That's the reality. And you can tell by his apology straight away that he knew he'd absolutely chowdered that one cleaner. So, very good. Very good. Very good sprint race in theory. Max will be laughing. This championship isn't over yet, I will tell you. And we will see in qualifying in a few hours exactly how unover it is. But that is the first of... That's chowder 2.5 or 2.1.
1.2.
Or it's just a half chowder. Anyway, speaking of it.
Well, I appreciated Paul's confusion there. At least we weren't working on the time with which he recorded it and when we'll hear it and when it'll be played.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So then we moved to Qualy.
Yes.
Poor old Isaac Hadjar came out and absolutely binned it. Absolutely.
But it didn't look like I know he had to have done something because not everyone else lost it there. But the commentators, as we're watching it live, it didn't look as though he'd done anything crazy. It's just the car's like, I'm done with the grip stuff. I'm taking a little break from giving you any grip, and you're just going to go flying into the wall.
Yeah. So that was him done, which basically means that like everyone now knows that there's only 4 spots at danger for Q1, but oh man, I mean, Stroll and Ocon probably expected them to go out. Bortoletto has been qualifying quite well recently. I didn't expect to see him.
And racing well. I want to talk. I'm going to come back to Bortoletto later in the race. But what the heck?
I know. And Albon, like, I know we had some. Didn't he have a track time deleted? Maybe I'm not sure, but whatever.
But I don't think he would have put
out,
him through anyway. I think he only brought him to like 15th or 16th with more people going. So
you're right. So we move on to Q2, and I don't know. COTA. Maybe it's COTA in the last couple of races. The racing bulls have not looked as feisty recently as they have.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
But weirdly, and I'm going to come back to Hadjar as well, he's looked the inferior of the two racing bulls the last handful of weeks, which is also super confusing.
I know. So we had, in reverse order, we lost Colapinto and the Gasman, so the two Alpines. Sonoda. I'm going to come back to Red Bull later. Not pinning that one. Lawson, which we were talking about, and the Hulk, who has been qualifying well, but he was done as well. So that was that. We went through to the final shootout, and it was just a bit of a damp squib. It was one of those ones where it was settled on the first run, not the second, which is always the worst way of it to
settled
be done.
On the first run by a mile. I mean, so again, Max is amazing. We've always said this. We've always held him in high esteem and respect. He was 0.3 clear of number 2. 0.3. Yep. That's not 300ths, or as Andy would like, 3/100ths. 0.3 of a second. That's the difference between new and old tires.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, nobody could hold a light to him. He screwed up his second run and didn't even get it in because by the time he crossed the line, the checkered flag was out. But it didn't matter. No one was getting close. And what it really came down to was who's going to be right behind him. And I don't know what is going on with Piastri at the moment. But
the third thing I want to talk about: what has happened to Oscar in the last 3 or 4 races?
No, it's like, is it the pressure getting to him? Is it just the tracks that we're on at the moment don't suit his driving style? But all of a sudden, he's looking miles off it. Like, he's been taking it to Lando. Like, forget all the other races. Let's just look at your teammate. He's been taking it to Lando all season, which is why he has this big championship lead. But right now, he's in massive danger of just screwing up this driver's title because
I agree.
I don't know what's going on with him.
The guy who has looked like a driving robot, unflappable, cool head, never celebrates, never too high, never too low. I joked he was so bad in Baku, I had to have thought his girlfriend was kidnapped in a warehouse somewhere in Azerbaijan, and he was doing it on purpose. Well, have they given her back yet? Pay the ransom. He's been horrible. And I don't understand. And that's why I said that he's the third. There have been 3 drivers in the last 3 to 4 races who have fallen off a cliff. Not all from the front. Oscar's number 1, of course. But Isaac and Gabriel Bortoletto, the 3 of them were looking, and again, for their respective teams and their respective part of the field and what they did, they all were on top of their game, constantly overshooting your expectations, or in Oscar's case, meeting them because he's a championship leader. And since then, since the last 3 or 4 races, these 3 guys have, I don't know, gone back to the mean, but then gone beneath it. They're underperforming their teammates. They're underperforming their car. And I just don't, their qualities aren't great. The race pace isn't there for any of the 3 of them. Well, apparently I took the pin out on all 3 right now. But so my point is, I don't know what's happening, and Oscar is the biggest confusion. He qualified 6th, and he made no real dent on the race, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah, nothing. It's like, don't know what's going on there. Yeah, no, you're right, but let's keep our powder dry till we get to the race. So we get to the race, and...
Sorry, we have a friend named Paul, and he'd like to talk about Qualy.
Oh, of course. Mr. Pitlane Paul, over to you.
Right. Well, there you go. That was qualifying. I'm glad I made that report earlier. I don't think it's fair to say qualifying was not very good. But for a COTA 6.7, it didn't really live up to it. I mean,
6.7.
Massive surprises. Track limits there. The only surprise really is actually how far off McLaren were, to be fair. I mean, that was probably a little bit surprising, but looking at the sprint race, it's going to be one of them weekends for them, I think. Max, ridiculously impressive. The fact he didn't even need his last lap should be noted. And yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say it was rubbish. I don't think you can say qualifying is rubbish. I don't think it's fair to say that, so I'm not going to. But there wasn't really a lot to shout about, was there? It was like, there weren't like no massive standout, like, oh my God, I can't believe that's happened, or I can't believe this has happened. The biggest shocking thing was track limits. We sort of all kind of saw that, so yeah, I will leave it there. We'll wait and see until tomorrow. I'm on a United flight tomorrow to a location. So like I said, we go to the circuit and we leave after a thing called hot laps, and then that's like probably an hour before race starts, or an hour and a half, whatever it is. But basically, I believe we take off as the race starts. So I actually, and quite bizarrely, won't have a first clue what is happening in terms of that race tomorrow. I will not be able to tell you. Although that's not quite the right grammar, is it? Because I can't say I will not be able to. I would not have been able to tell you. I might not be able to tell
Here we
you,
go.
But I can't say might not be able to tell you. I don't know how to word this one. This one's even more confusing. I might be able to stream TV on the flight. It's America. You do this sort of stuff. Who knows? It's all hypothetical, because if you hear a review on the back end of this, and I guess I did watch it. Either way, I'll give you a review based on whatever situation I'm in. It might just be about the level of service, the peanut quality, and the amount of ice that the United staff will kindly put in their drinks tomorrow. It might be an amazing race. I don't know.
Pitlane Paul overboard.
Charles knows.
Let's add that to the words of wisdom.
Oh, man.
Oh,
So
love you, Paul.
we get to the race start, and what instantly caught my eye was that everybody at the front was on mediums apart from one guy. One guy had gone for softs, and I'm thinking, come on, Ferrari, you're my team. Please don't be messing this one up. Like, have this as a genius stroke that, like, soft is going to mean something here. And I know they say that even a broken clock is right twice a day, but Ferrari nailed it. They absolutely nailed this for track position. I know eventually, as we get into the race, it won't actually matter for anything, but Charles was off the line on a guy on softs, and he took Lando, and he got into second spot.
Almost took Max.
And while I loved it because I'm a Ferrari fan at heart, that single move in corner one probably ruined the entire race.
For Lando trying to catch Max.
Yes.
Yeah.
In terms of a showdown at the front, Charles was quick enough to keep Lando at bay, but was never, ever going to go chase down Max. And I'll come to my rant later about Pirelli, because we'll get there. But it was a brilliant start from Charles. He was on the softs. He took off like lightning. Like you say, could have got both of them. He did get Lando. He didn't get Max. And then we kind of settled in from there. But
yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great start from Charles. I love the gamble on the strategy, a split strategy, because Lewis was not on the softs. So Ferrari was taking a gamble with their front runner. Lewis and Oscar took George at the start, so we had some movement on lap one with no contact, which worked out great. But yeah, I thought Charles did a great job. He'd made those soft tires go, 23 laps or so on a full tank of fuel? And I know there were a couple laps under the VSC, I get that. But I still thought that was tremendous. I thought Charles drove a great race.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome, buddy. And so I look at it, and we had a bit of stuff going on at the beginning. We already talked about Charles. We talked about George falling back. On lap 3, we had Lance Stroll and Esteban Ocon going back and forth. And I'm thinking, do you think Ocon's just giving him a bunch of space? And we did this yesterday. Do we have to do it again? We didn't see it. it was for 17th position, and I only know about it because on the timing tree on the left of the screen, they just kept flipping positions back and forth. And I'm like, ooh, that must be saucy, and saw none of it. But at least we didn't get a continuous barrage of wags the whole time. So if they were giving us as much on-track action as they could, they just couldn't find it all. That's fine. We then had Lando, as you kind of referenced already. He was stalking Charles. Lewis was kind of starting to cruise up a little bit. Oscar really never made a dent on Lewis. He just he's like, I'm 2.5 seconds behind, and I'm just going to leave it there for the rest of the race. And it's almost like he set his cruise control, and he like picked the differential of how close you want to be following the car in front of you, and he picked the medium setting, and he turned it off for the race. I mean, I don't know what has happened to Oscar, and his particular McLaren is not as fast as Lando's. Lando's is not as fast as it used to be either.
Yeah, no idea what's going on there. I mean, again, I'm going to put a pin in that. We'll come back to it. But so then we got lap 7. We had, actually, we wrote this as signs out, but let's replay it in the order that we saw it. We saw Kimi
facing the wrong way.
Like facing the wrong way. I was like, oh, what's going on? Yellow flag. And part of me is thinking, oh, please give me a safety car because we just need to reel Max in at this point, but to give a kind of a competitive race. But no, he got going again. And then we saw it. Oh, Carlos, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like there are corners and there are gaps that look like they're on the cards to take, and then there are this.
Right.
Which,
and this was a I don't even know how to describe this properly. On a double corner like that, where you're kind of coming out and then around, it's definitely not a hairpin, but where you have to take an angle where you never actually touch the inside of that apex where Carlos was. There's a reason people aren't on that, because that's not the racing line, Carlos. So he's going to be coming in back to the second apex. And when you stick your car in that random area where no one else drives because it's off the racing line, and you expect him to get out of the way when you've got a third of your car alongside him, why? And like, what do you expect him to do? Just like pull over and go, oh, I thought it was a blue flag, I'll let you through. Like, what, never gonna happen. And I love Carlos.
Never.
And he's had a couple moves this year, 1 or 2, that have just been ridiculous, and this is one of them. And again, I loved what he did in the sprint race. Good job. I like what he's doing at Williams. I love Carlos. Dumb move. And by the way, he got a 5-place grid penalty just announced for Mexico. So that is painful for him.
Yeah. So then we went to a VSC. Albon came in and decided to pit under the VSC. But this was the interesting thing that I mean, the commentators didn't know what was going on, and neither did I. So Lando was right up Charles's trumpet before the VSC. He was 0.6 seconds behind him. 0.6, maybe even 0.5. And then when the VSC ended, and VSC is supposed to keep station, you're supposed to stay in a delta and stay the same
difference
amount
from
of
front
time.
and behind. Yep.
Yeah. When they ended, Lando was 2 seconds behind.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Like, what? Did Lando screw up and drop too far back? Did Charles? It was never mentioned again for the entire race. But I'm like, how'd you go from being half a second behind the guy in front to 2 seconds behind?
The best part is when they did speculate for a minute, maybe he was cooling his tires. I'm like, at a 40% clip? Like, what? They're under VSC. He's naturally cool. What are we talking about? He's not lifting and coasting under a VS. There's no explanation that made any sense. They might as well have just told us he was watching the TVs as he went by each one and just kind of forgot to hit the gas pedal. I agree with you. We didn't know. And at this point, we started getting bits of lull. Came out of the VSC. By lap 15, we were like, Rob and I are both, Lando has to get past Charles or there will be no race. And there was some great wheel-to-wheel action, 15, 16. Charles, amazing defending. He made that Ferrari really wide.
Yes, he did.
He went, in my opinion, to the edge of what you can do on defense. He pushed Lando off the track a couple times, one of which got Lando a strike towards his black and white flag. By the way, we didn't mention that Isaac on lap 6 had received the full black and white flag. That's really good. You got to get 3 track limits by lap 6 to get a black. I mean, nice job, Isaac. But Charles was defending so great. And you know what? It was fun to watch because Lando was taking it to him. Charles was defending, and it was all inches apart at top speed,
Oh.
and no one went over the
Brilliant
line.
racing.
Yeah, great wheel to
Brilliant
wheel.
racing. No, what wasn't brilliant was at this point, Crofty seemed to have some kind of seizure that prevented him from seeing what was going on track. And multiple times, I'm not sure if Crofty's commentating performance is linked to McLaren's on-track performance, but man, did he make some huge,
Over and over again.
over and over, like wrong commentary. So it started here. Well, maybe you'll tell us that he did early in this, but the first one we saw was said Crofty was on about how we were watching George chasing down Piastri, and he's really in his DRS. He's going to get him any moment. Oh my God, George is all over Piastri, and it was quite clearly Kimi on Hadjar. Like, and it even said it on screen. The little logo came up at the bottom, and it was like, yeah, Kimi chasing Hadjar. If you looked at the left and saw the timing board, George wasn't anywhere near Oscar's DRS at this point. So poor old Crofty had some kind of like little meltdown at this point.
He did, but then we moved to lap 21, and finally Lando gets Charles, and Rob gets real excited, and he says, "Hey, will the McLaren thrive in clean air?" Which is a great question. I agree with the question 100%. We've seen all year, and even last year, the McLaren loves that clean air. It really picks up the pace. It's gentler on its tires. But they were 10.5 to 11 seconds behind Max already. And so now it becomes a question of, can anyone reel in Max? Spoiler alert, no. But so then we had 22, and then I want your opinion on this, because the second day in a row in the race, we had a Ferrari battle. And this time, Charles did not make a mistake to allow Lewis back into the picture. And it was a really good battle. Elbows out for Charles on Lewis, because at this point, lap 22, Charles is driving some really old soft tires, and Lewis is on the mediums, and I'm waiting for the team orders to come through. Doesn't matter, he boxes anyway. And so he pulls in, and Lewis continues by. I can't remember if Lewis passed him in the turn prior, but regardless,
no, I don't think he did.
did.
I just held my breath through that entire intersection because we were on board for a lot of it, and I was like, they're going to crash.
Yes.
Both my Ferraris are going to be out any second. Because
I was
Lewis
expecting
wants...
an awful lot of red carbon fiber on the ground.
Yeah, same here. But they kept it clean. It was brilliant racing. They respected each other. I do find it kind of funny where, like, the moment Charles is finished defending, they get onto towards the end, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm boxing anyway." So he just like peels off and lets Lewis pass. I'm like, you literally could have done that 10 seconds earlier and like saved us all of this heartache. But yeah. So then we kind of look at this, and it's like Kim is making a charge to the field. Lando is not making any dent on Max. It's staying at around 11. And this is the point where I said to you, and maybe I need to go on my rant now because I dropped the F-bomb later on in the notes and I can't drop the F-bomb on the pod. But I said, dare I say, tyre management induced lull. And I know Pirelli introduced this little step thing where we didn't have sequential tyre compounds this weekend. We had do we have C1, C3, C4?
Correct.
Okay. Oh my God, Pirelli. Like, Pirelli... I know it's not your fault, but it is your fault. It's completely your fault. Like, we are watching cars that are being engineered to within a nanometer of maximum capability. And what we've seen too many times this year is that we get to about this point in a race and we just hear tyre management and everyone's slowing down because they're trying to make it a one-stopper and they want to make the mediums go longer so they can go onto the soft. It's like, this is your fault, Pirelli. If you just made the tyres not do this, everybody would be talking about a two-stopper. Like, I've 100% admitted that when a one-stopper is pulled out of the fire, like when a two-stopper is maybe the obvious one.
And someone can manage tires and make a one-stop happen. I agree. That's chef's kiss.
100%. Chef's kiss. When somebody can pull a one-stopper out of the fire, when everything tells you a one-stopper shouldn't be the right strategy, I love it. So I'm not a hater of one-stoppers. But when you suddenly start seeing all the team radio coming on around this point going, how long do you think you could go on this tire? And you just know it's like, we're not really racing at optimum speed anymore now. We're now managing the optimum tire strategy. And you just get 10 laps of, maybe even 15 laps of nothing.
Nothing. And
Oh,
I agree with you. I don't have much to add. I will just say my friend, unrelated to Pitlane Paul, my friend Paul sent a note. It becomes ridiculous if they start the race talking about a 1 or 2 stopper, and then it turns out a soft and a medium get you home fine. Yes, that is not the way that's supposed to work. There's no way you're going 2 stopping if you can go medium and soft for the whole race.
when
And
the
then
hard tire is not in the equation
ever
at
used.
all,
Right, used
then
by
how
like
is
4
a
people.
two-stopper ever?
Never needed. And so at lap 30, Crofty once again steps in it, and he says, all these people on mediums, there's no way they're going to be able to make it to the end on a soft. Crofty, I'm not a mathematician, but I'm going to help out a little here. It was a 56-lap race. That was lap 30. There was 26 laps left. Charles did 23 to open it on a full tank of fuel, and his softs made it 23 laps. So could a soft on half a tank of fuel make it 26? Yes, it can. It would have been fine. Math over. They could have boxed right on lap 30 and been 100% fine. And they did, and it was fine. And for 2 laps, he had this whole hand-wringing about, will the softs make it? Yeah, they will, and they did. Anyway, then people started boxing. 31 Oscar Pitts. Lando's now 9.7 behind Max. We would need about 406 more laps for Lando to catch him. And then the second McLaren pit stop is slightly slow. I don't even know what to say. My favorite part of the race was about lap 35 when Ollie Behrman was coming up to Yuki, and he's like, oh, you know what? I got an idea. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to completely come into this corner about 2 times as fast as you're supposed to take it, because I'm going to cut through the grass. I'm going to go off-roading. I'm going to get in front of him. I'm going to turn hard on left on the wheel, and I'm going to take that position. And no one will notice that I gained an advantage by going off the track, and it'll be fine. Instead, he goes off the track at 1,000,000 miles an hour, loses control completely, and spins out, and Yuki has to take avoiding action. That is 100% a patented SAP video game move.
Yeah, and at this point as well, I got ridiculously optimistic that Ferrari had pulled an absolute blinder, because after all this pit stop stuff rang out, like, remember, Max was 11 seconds ahead of Lando because Lando had taken Charles. Charles had pitted first, blah, blah, blah. And when everybody had done their first round of pits and we came back out on the track, I'm like, Charles is second and he's only 5.8 seconds behind Max. Like, he's cut his lead in half. Oh my God. And he's on mediums. Max is now going to have to nurse these softs till the end. I mean, he probably can't race. Max can still race. We know Max can still race, but he won't be able to push as much because the softs have now got to last like 23 laps. Leclerc's made his softs last. He's now on mediums. Oh my God, Charles could win this.
No.
That lasted about 4 laps before I suddenly realized none of this was going to play out.
That's okay.
I was lap 35. I was so ridiculously excited that Charles was on an absolute blinder. But
I mean, let's be honest. If he didn't get track position on lap 1, I don't think he finishes third. So I think the Ferrari strategy worked. Go to softs, get track position, hang out there. I still think he's lower than third if he doesn't do that. Lap 39, my second favorite moment. Lance Stroll and Liam Lawson are battling into turn 1. My notes were, get the safety car ready. I mean, you got 2 guys who don't understand that they have rear view mirrors filled with hopium that they can, come at it from 14 miles away and not have a problem locking up. There's more carbon fiber being recycled in Formula One because of those 2 guys. Yeah. And yet somehow they didn't come together. So kudos. I know. Bernd Mailander actually even pulled out a little bit onto the track. He's like, I'm ready.
I'm ready. I mean, and around this time, Crofty was like continuing his nightmare where he was like, oh, Albon. I mean, he's pitted twice, but he is hanging on for 10th position for that final points paying position. I'm like, hang on, have you just got ALO and thought it was Albon? Like, even though that's not how you spell his name, because that's Alonso that's in 10th. Albon is miles back. What the hell are you talking about, Crofty? But maybe because we were all falling asleep a little bit.
And Rob and I both thought the top 10 would basically finish in that order by this point. But on lap 49, Lando started trying again. Those carcasses of those tires were waking up just like Will Joseph, his engineer, was saying they would do. And on lap 51, they do a little switcheroo back and forth on turn 1. And then at the back straight, Lando got Charles for second.
I've got to say this. Like, there's a lot of people that talk about Lando not having the racecraft, and I don't know. There's a lot of people that are Lando haters that say
I don't know why.
As good. I don't know why. The guy is obviously a good racer, right? And I will admit, I'm Team Oscar. I would like Oscar to win the championship this year, but Lando today, and even the commentary team said it. He had been in Charles's DRS so often, trying the same move over and over again. He'd never tried it into turn 1. He was never even close enough to try it into turn 1. And sometimes me and you have talked about how drivers will set up and overtake many corners in advance.
Right.
And I've got to say, Lando was genius today. He got close enough to throw it up the inside of turn 1. He knew that was never, ever going to stick. He went deep. He knew Charles was going to do the kind of a switchback. But it didn't matter. It was something different. It got Charles into a different position on the racetrack, and he stuck like glue to his rear wing then, all the way around to the second DRS. And you're like, well, I'm now within 0.3. And if I'm within 0.3 on that back straight, which is like 1,000,000 miles long, I'm going to get you, Charles. And he did. I just thought that was... We've been critical of Lando for being maybe not as wise and doing some rash moves, but I thought he set Charles up brilliantly on that one, and he got it. Yeah, he never went. There was never any chance of him going and chasing Max down, but it was damage limitation. He needed to get Charles. He needed to get second.
Yep.
And do you know what? Fair play. He went and did it. It was great racing from the two of them. They never even looked like they were going to take each other out. But the other thing at this point was, as Lando got Charles to move into second, Oscar was about 27 seconds off the lead. 27!
Yeah. I know.
We've not seen McLaren be like that for forever. Like, they've been leading, they've had a pace advantage. 27 seconds off the lead, that's insane.
And in fifth.
Yes.
I did really, really, really enjoy the fact that we really, we hadn't seen Max for a bit. We finally got some Max time. I loved this Max time towards the end. He had the lead firmly in hand. We get to see him because he's catching up to the back three, battling for 17th, because remember, Carlos is out. So 17, 18, 19. It is Pierre with Franco behind him and Bortoleto behind him. Again, what happened to Bortoleto, I don't know. Why is he in 19th? But again, we've already talked about that. And so they are battling ferociously for 17th place. Loved it. Loved seeing it happen. Loved what they were doing. And then Max rolls up to them, and they have to get the blue flags to get out of the way. As this is happening, we hear the team radio to Franco that said, "We're nursing our way back to the finish line. No battling." And Franco goes, "No battling? What is that crap?" And he goes out and he passes Pierre aggressively into a corner when Pierre was told, "No battling, you're nursing at home." And it's like a multi-21, bring it home. And all of a sudden, Franco's like, "Yeah, no, not really." And I know he's fighting for his F1 career. They still haven't confirmed the second Alpine seat for next year. But, man, if you're Franco, I get why he does it. I can show you I still have the race pace. But if you're Alpine, if you're Flavio Briatore, and you're not busy crafting up another Singapore crash on purpose, the question I have for you is, are you excited that your driver is disobeying team orders to finish 17th instead of 18th? No.
No, but I kind of respected Colapinto. Colapinto was getting pushed back into... Who was right behind them? Was it Bortoleto? Bortoleto. So he was right at jeopardy of being consumed by Bortoleto if he kind of station behind Gasly. It's like, screw this. I'm like, I can take Gas, man. We'll finish in this order. I know there's no points at stake at this bottom end of it, but he is fighting for his seat. He does need to show he can do this. If he holds station, I think Bortoleto actually gets Colapinto, and then everyone's like pointing at Colapinto going, "Oh, you're rubbish. You got overtaken by everybody again." So I think he was kind of like, screw that.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure I don't get taken by Bortoletto. I'll take Gasman, and if Gasman can keep Bortoletto at bay, fine. But it's not going to be me that gets taken by him. So, like, he's had a real rough ride of it recently. So I kind of get why he did it. And I think what do they say on the commentary? Like, it's one of those things where you just do it and wait for Monday morning.
Yeah, I guess so.
Wait for the debrief and see what happens, right?
We heard that Lewis on the last lap had a puncture and that Oscar almost got him for fourth. We didn't see too much of it. Thankfully, they did cut to Oscar's car this time, unlike last week or last race in Singapore when Lewis had no brakes and Fernando was tracking him down and actually almost got him. We never saw that. This time, at least we saw it, but it didn't happen. And so Max won. Max won big time. He won by 8 seconds over Lando. Charles third. A nice podium for Ferrari. We have a couple quick stats here. Lewis fourth, Oscar fifth, which has got to be disappointing for so many. George sixth, Yuki coming home seventh.
Right. So I'm going to bring my point in now.
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking at this and I was thinking, right, what is going on? Is this the FlexiWing TD that came out that nerfed McLaren and that's where they've lost all their pace? I looked at it like, no. After that TD came out, McLaren did win some more races. They have finished ahead of Max multiple times before that came out. I was like, well, why did Max get quicker? Is it just Red Bull upgrades that McLaren are already operating in the upper window of what they can achieve and that Red Bull just caught them up? I was like, yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe it's upgrades. Right, here's my non-scientific Rob view of what I think has happened.
Let me get some music ready for when you're done. Go for it.
Yeah, get the Benny Hill music ready. I'm looking at this and thinking this all coincides with Horner going and Laurent coming in. I'm like, okay, fine. What could he have done? He can't have found some secret vault of upgrades that we should apply, but Christian Horner didn't want to
set up the car for contact.
Yeah, exactly. So then I started thinking about some quotes that Max came out with this week in one of the media pens, and it was like, why are you finding pace suddenly? It's like, well, the car is more predictable. I know what it's going to do. Therefore, I can trust it, and I can trust it from Friday. So instead of early season where they're scrambling all weekend, trying to work out what the hell is going on and hoping to find some balance on Sunday, they're getting balance on Friday. I'm like, well, why? And then I looked at Yuki's pace, and I'm like, Yuki's been doing better recently as well. So here's my totally no scientific evidence whatsoever based on this, but I wonder if Laurent has come in and gone, right, rather than be a yes man to Max and just keep building the car in the direction that he wants, he keeps saying that he likes a pointy car and he wants it to act this way and blah, 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 blah. What if Laurent's come in and gone, look, I know you want that, Max. I know you want a pointy car, but if we build you a pointy car, it's going to be unpredictable. You're going to have all this crap where you don't know whether the front end's going to be responsive or the back end's going to be responsive, and you're going to keep racing with what you have. But if we do this and set the car up this way, I still think you're going to be able to maximize it. It might not be the most preferential way you want to drive it, but it'll be more predictable and you can trust it. And by the way, once you can trust it, because we know the car's going to act in a certain way, Yuki will be able to trust it as well. I just wonder if Laurent's come in and just stop being a yes man to Max and has moved the dial a little bit to the other direction and gone, I'm going to take this car away from where Max really wants it. Because although he thinks he wants it over there, it's going to be too unpredictable if we put it over there. If we bring it back over this way a little bit, Max is a good enough driver that he'll be able to extract it. And it'll be predictable. So he knows what it's going to do. And because it's predictable, Yuki, the lesser driver, is going to be able to get something from it. And now we have a car which is competitive with both drivers. What do you think? Am I sipping the crazy juice here? Or has Laurent come in and basically gone, stop being a yes man to Max, design a car that is good for both drivers?
No, I agree. You may be onto something here. I mean, in all seriousness, Yuki still is struggling in Qualy.
Yes,
but he's doing better in race pace.
Yes,
and he's had better race. I'm going to actually, that's part of my SAP stats this week. Yuki has done definitely better in the races, and the predictability is something Max has talked about. However, They have brought a lot of upgrades. I heard somewhere that
They have.
in the last handful
yeah.
of races, more than 4 or 5, they've done like 6 different upgrades to the front wing. So they've done all kinds of work on the car, and that's obviously important, and those have to work. But have they maybe gone in a direction where predictability, while still remaining fast, is something that's benefited the team? I think you may be onto something there.
It was just that quote from Max where he said, the car is now, I know what to expect from it. And the way that he said it wasn't, this is the favorite way I love the car set up. It was more though he didn't say. It was more, this might not be my perfect setup, but I know what to expect from it. I know what to, if I push it, I know how it's going to react.
Yep.
And I think if Max has trust in a car, Max is such a talented driver that if he knows what he's got underneath him, he'll get the most from it. And I think in those previous races where he was getting hosed, I think he honestly didn't know. He got all those messages about, oh man, the back end sliding, the front end sliding, the gearbox is this, the upshift, the downshift, the blah, 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 blah. We have not heard that in the last 4 or 5 races.
We've heard a bit of him having trouble with the shifts at times.
A little,
yeah.
but like he's won a couple, well, he's won, 3 in the last 5?
Yeah. So let's hear from Paul to close out, and then we'll talk about the king of the pits stats, and we do need to talk about the World Drivers' Championship and where it stands, because that is becoming a topic that cannot be ignored. That said, let's hear from Paul with his final part of the race review, or at least something that resembles Paul.
Sort of Paul, yeah.
Hey now. Well, that was the final chowder. The USA Grand Prix from Austin, Texas, y'all. I'm actually on a flight right now and can't talk too loud, so I've asked ChatGPT to help me out since y'all wanted a recording. This flight's about 3 hours, so here we go. Now I can almost hear you saying, this is kind of boring. But honestly, so was that race. It was really disappointing, to be fair. I mean, okay, the only real fun was Lando versus Charles. Aside from a few little crashes, it was pretty meh. Not even Stroll made things interesting. And that's about all I can say. Texas is always great, one we look forward to every year. But that race didn't quite live up to the big American hype. Very sad. Anyway, hopefully this message sends from up here, or at least works somehow. But then again, if you're listening to it, I guess it did. And if not, well, this part's kind of pointless, isn't it? All right, Mexico next, home of the infamous El Guapo.
All right, Paul. Well, thank you. Rob, let's get into King of the Pits, and the pits will do Kings first.
Hey, you're the king of the pit.
I'll give you the option. Would you like to go first or second on King?
I'll go first on King and just say Max.
Max agreed. Let's talk about the pits then, because, I mean, I don't even know how to put into words. It's almost as though the last 3 or 4 races, he's somehow brought back the 2023 form, and we're watching again.
Laurent, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you. It's the time I ran into him at Silverstone when I was in the paddock, and I gave him the head nod, and he gave it back to me. And ever since then, Laurent's on fire.
You're the pits.
We may agree on this one, too. Are we both going Pirelli?
I have to go on I did my Pirelli rant earlier on. I'm like,
I agree.
oh, when we spend half the race review talking about tire management, then Pirelli have screwed the pooch. I hate to say it, but they have.
I agree. All right, so let's do some stats, and then I really do want to dissect the Drivers' Championship. Love it. All right, so SAP stats, U.S. Grand Prix. Let's talk a little bit about Max. He became the first driver to win 7 Grand Prix in the United States. He has 4 in Austin, 2 in Miami, 1 in Vegas. 1 in Vegas, I thought he had more than that. I really felt like some reason Max has won both of the races so far, but apparently not. Max has scored 119 of a possible 133 points in the last 5 Grand Prix weekends. He is on fire, and he is coming for the championship. And I know Rob keeps shaking his head no when I say, does Max have a chance? I'm now Team Max has a chance. We'll get into it in a second. He finished 1 minute and 12 seconds behind the race winner in Hungary just 6 races ago. 1:12 behind. Now he's back to domination. It is crazy. He's 40 points off the championship lead. That deficit was 104 points only 4 races ago. 104 to 40 in 4 races. It's the 5th consecutive Grand Prix to be won from pole this season. The winning driver leading 281 out of 294 laps over these last 5 races. That ain't exactly a lot of good TV watching if you're looking for some changes of the lead. I wanted to highlight that one. Verstappen now has 122 career podium finishes, tied with Seb for 3rd all-time. P2 for Lando Norris was the McLaren driver's 15th podium finish of the season, more than any other driver. Consistency. That's often something people look for when you're going to win championships. I know he's 2nd, but that's really good consistency. He's reduced the championship deficit to Oscar to 14 points. Charles was P3 when Ferrari. He's now completed a full year without a race win because his last victory was Austin 2024, as we said last week. Ferrari's first podium finish in the last 6 races. Leclerc is the highest driver in the championship without a win this season. 5th place in the Drivers' Championship, no wins. Whenever I say no wins, I always think of what people used to call Lando before Miami last year. Lando no wins. I always hated that. Anyway, Lewis Hamilton finished at P4, is now completed, and this is a sad one for you, 19 Grand Prix for Ferrari without finishing on the podium, which is a team record for the longest starting tenure at Ferrari without a podium. Now belongs to Lewis F. Hamilton Incorporated. Hamilton finished 4th in the Grand Prix for the 4th time this season. Here's the other sad part to the Lewis one. He's never scored fewer than 5 podium finishes in an F1 season. He has 0 so far. There's 5 races left. Can he do it? I don't think so. Nope. Can he get 1?
No.
Oh, jeez. Piastri took P5. I can't argue with you. Piastri took P5, has no podium finish in any of the last 3 Grand Prix. He scored just 22 points in that time. Yuki, and here's a great Yuki one. So this proves Rob's Laurent point. Yuki has scored 16 points in the last 3 race weekends. In his first 12 races at Red Bull before that, he had in his first 16 races at Red Bull before they had 12. He has scored more points in the last 3 races than in his first 12 races.
Yep.
Amazing.
I really think they've just evened that car out, and they've just said, look, Max, you're a genius. You'll be able to drive whatever we give you, but we're going to move it a little bit towards mere mortals that can drive cars.
Yeah, but it's helping Max too. Nico's P8 for Sauber was his first points finish since the podium, where no one celebrated with him at Silverstone. Behrman finished 9th in consecutive Grand Prix this season. And finally, with the best of P11 for Liam Lawson, Racing Bulls finished the weekend pointless for the 2nd straight race after a 5-race scoring streak because our guy, Isaac Hadjar, somehow has lost his magic dust, which was apparently in the same jar as Oscar Piastri's magic dust and in the same jar as Gabriel Bortoletto's magic dust. And those 3 look pedestrian over the last handful of races.
Yeah.
And those are the Zap Stats.
Yeah, so if we look at how that leaves the Drivers' Championship, I mean, Max is running out of races. Okay, he beat Oscar today and he got the sprint stuff, but we got the top 3. Oscar at 346, Lando at 332, Max at 306. So he's 40 points behind him. It will need DNFs, I think. It will need DNFs for Oscar for him to chip away at that because you don't.
There's 2 sprints in there too yet. There's Qatar and
I know,
Brazil.
But you can't bank on if you just said it won't take DNFs because you said I don't know. Assume they don't do DNFs. If you don't get another one like we got yesterday with the DNFs, there's not enough points on offer to just take little nibbles out. You need what happened yesterday where you need the DNFs to take a big chunk out. So I love the Max story. In a bizarre way, as much as I wanted a McLaren driver to win this year and I wanted it to be Oscar, if Max pulls us out of the fire, this would be such a sensational thing that I'll be all in on the Max train, right? I'm like, this will be amazing because he was nowhere. This wasn't a domination year where he just cruised it. This will be amazing.
What was he, 104 points away? It's just a few races ago. So here's my problem, and the commentators started talking about it. Like you were saying, Lando 14 points behind Oscar, Max 40 points behind Oscar. The commentators started in on this, and it is quite a conundrum. McLaren has not favored anybody. They've let them kind of fairly race, right? The McLaren has let the two drivers fairly race. And by not favoring anyone, you've not allowed anyone to build a points lead over anyone else. And that's fine and good. But now you have Max right behind you, catching you at a rate of knots. Maybe there's not enough races left. Maybe there are. But you can't start favoring someone now, or can you? And if you did, who would it be? Would you say it's Oscar, the championship points leader, with a 14 only point advantage over Orlando? But Oscar's been off the form horrendously the last 3 or 4 races. Do you favor Orlando, the person on the form, only 14 points behind? And so it's McLaren has somehow painted themselves into a corner where they can't even promote one of the two drivers and say, we're going to get behind you. There's cases to be made for both. And I think either one would be catastrophic to the team to pick one at this point. They're going to go McLaren this all the way to the end. And there's a chance they just lost it for one of their drivers.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I honestly think this has got nothing to do with McLaren
Anymore, but they set it up this way. It's all because we're here because of them.
Kinda. I don't think we are. They haven't really ever. All this kind of like they've. Right, we said last week they've been too fair, so they have tried to even things out with the odd pit lane call here, or pit stop call here or there. But actually, over the grand course of the whole season, they've just let these guys race from the beginning of the season. They've never favoured one of them, so they've left it to the talents of the guys behind the wheels. And if one of them was ridiculously better than the other, one of them will be miles clear of the other one. What McLaren have got is they've got 2 number 1 drivers. I mean, it's clear for everybody with eyes to see, right? McLaren have got 2 number 1 drivers. So therefore, McLaren aren't making a call. They're leaving it to the drivers. The drivers are ebbing and flowing from race to race. And then bizarrely, over the last few races, McLaren's performance advantage has just kind of disappeared. And whether it is Laurent coming in and doing things, whether it's Red Bull's upgrades, whether it's McLaren's car was already at the top of its performance window, so no upgrades could really do anything, or whether it's all of the above. What it's all shaking out is that we've got a handful of races left. Max is going to need, I think, at least a couple of DNFs. And I mean a couple, as in for both drivers, because he's chasing two down,
drivers,
right?
Yeah.
So he needs some DNFs to go his way. He can't just keep beating them on the racetrack, because I don't think there's enough points to be gained in there. What it really comes down to is, can Oscar recover his form of a few races? He just seems to have gone off a cliff. I don't know what it is.
I don't either.
But right now, if I was actually betting money, I think Lando is going to win the title.
I said Lando's on form.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you.
In college basketball, you want to be hot going into March Madness. It doesn't matter what you did all season. As long as you make the tournament, what matters is what you do into March Madness. Lando's on the form. I agree. And I'm Team Oscar too. But I do like Lando. I've always liked Lando. You know that. I like everybody. Jesus Christ, Brian. You like everyone. I do. But I agree. I think Lando's, if I were Vegas, I'd make him the betting favorite. 2 other things in the standings of note. Fernando has passed Lance now. Fernando is 37 points. Lance is 32. This was my bold prediction that said there's no way in the world Fernando finishes behind Lance. And I'm now correct, but he has to hold on. If Lance somehow passes back Fernando and finishes ahead of him, I will get a tattoo on one side of my butt cheek, right by the crack, and it'll say dirty side. And I'll let people figure that one out as we go. The second part that is fascinating to me was when we talked about, with 8 races left, the 8 things to talk about, Yuki now has 28 points and Liam has 30. And the question was, will Yuki be the lowest finishing Red Bull RB driver of the 4? And we thought maybe yes. Turns out, when we both hoped no. So it turns out our hopes may be right, our brains may have been wrong. We'll have to find out and see.
Yeah, we'll see. That one is getting closer. And then over in Constructor Land, as we all know, McLaren are the champions. Mercedes are now 341, but decent finish by Ferrari this weekend puts them 334, and then Max winning yet again is 331. So we got 341, 334, 331. We've got 10 points across 3 teams. That second place constructors is massively up for grabs at the moment. Mercedes are weird. Like, I honestly think that it's going to be the Mercedes performance over the remaining races that decides the title, because Mercedes can't quite work out when they're going to be good and when they're not. And I think between now and the end of the season, they'll have another race where George wins, and George winning screws up everyone else's chances
Yeah.
of doing things. So be interesting to see if Mercedes can hold on there. Williams with their double point scoring in the sprint, I think they're home and hosed in fifth, 111 to Racing Bull 72, and like we just discussed, they've kind of fallen off a cliff a little bit. But then Aston Martin sneaking up right on Racing Bulls 69 to 72, Sauber 59 to 69, Haas 48 to 59, and then Alpine are just last, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Nothing they can do. They've fallen and they can't get up. Let's talk about fantasy real fast. So I forgot to announce this, but we promised this at the beginning of the year. For all 3 U.S. races, we will give a T-shirt to the winner of that week's race. And so Andre, Quia Racing Team, 269 points, used a no negative, didn't need it. That went heavy with Max and Mercedes. So good job, Andre. Please reach out to us either on Twitter or on Threads or on email. You can find that on www.dirtysideofthetrack.com and let us know. We'll send you a T-shirt. In second place this week, 44th gear Gavin, Isham, Ayal in third, No Fuel, Sergio in fourth, Formula Fantasy Hub, Rob in fifth, tied with the Kurdish boy Dahan. Seventh, we have a 3-way tie, F1FantasyTools.com, Franklin, Cappuccino, Matt, and the Naya F1 team, Naya. Good job, everybody. And 10th, Oliver, Beer Me. I like that, Mark. And I'm just going to mention the fact that there was a tie for 11th that I made. Myself, Kevin from Lost My V-Carb, Ryan, nothing, just an inch didn't one, Pato, Papaya Rules, and Michael with Switch to Plan B, all tied at 230 points in 11th. I will be honest, I did have to use my 3X, and that's what crushed me, is I used my 3X on Max, and I'm dancing around, flapping my arms, doing a dance. Look, I got it all right. Well, I 2X'd Oscar, and he was negative. I got Carlos out there, he was negative. So I guess correct. Andre needed the no negative because he had Carlos as well. And McLaren screwed me overall. I did have Mercedes as a constructor, so I'm happy I finished 11th. Again, Andre, reach out about the T-shirt, and then finally, just to close fantasy, the top 3 in the league after this race: Gavin, 44th gear, a decent little lead over Box 1 Patrick. And then we have pretty close behind that in third, the Kurdish boy Dayan. So, and then just to be clear, also, then there's pretty tight after that from FantasyTools.com, from Michael, from Rob, from Michael, a different Michael, and then Adam, some fantasy experts. Andy, I see you in 10th, Ryan in 9th. Nice job, guys.
There we go.
There we go.
Right. Next week.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to try really hard to try to build this up, but every year that we've done this on this quirky little pod, Mexico has not given us anything to talk about, and we've ended up trying to come up with different puns on Siesta Fiesta or whatever it might be. But okay, here we go. Here we go. Buckle yourself in. Next week is the Mexican Grand Prix at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. We will have 71 fun-filled laps of this 2.674 mile circuit that goes through the baseball stadium. Where are we? 63 to 70. It was a championship event, but a different racetrack. 86 to 92. It came back here. 2015 to 2019, we had a little bit of a revival before COVID, and then it's been back since 2021. Crushing our souls with disappointing racing.
Disappointing racing every time.
Every time. And maybe this year can be different. Last year, qualifying was Carlos Sainz ahead of Max, ahead of Lando. In the race, Max got like 1 million penalties for like everything. If he sneezed, it was 5 seconds to Max. If he kind of like didn't accelerate properly out of a corner, it was a penalty to Max. So he got served with a gazillion penalties, and we ended up with Carlos from Lando from Charles, with Max down in 6th. This was still at the point where people were thinking Lando had a chance of reeling Max in, and this race really didn't help Max. The most interesting thing that we talked about in the pod was that Colapinto and Lawson had a ridiculous amount of spicy encounters towards the end of the race. They were racing for nothing, and they were just sending it up the inside all the time. And eventually, Colapinto, rather than Lawson of all people, got the 10-second penalty for causing a collision, which was all on Colapinto. But that was about what we had to talk about.
Yeah,
it wasn't great, and it hasn't been for the past 4 years. But do you know what? Maybe 1 in 5. Maybe that's the rule.
We're due. We're totally due. It's like when you don't win the lottery a couple times, you got to go play again because you got to play to win. And yeah, man, it's a high elevation. The tires will probably last the whole race.
Oh God, it'll be a 0 stop. They'll all come in on the last lap.
I do love the baseball stadium. I do love F1. Yeah. I do love the Mexican fans.
I was going to say, this is the most disappointing thing about this race is that all the ingredients there
are there.
The baseball stadium is cool. The Mexican fans are amazing and so passionate, and the layout of the track, when you just look at it, like the image that I'll put on the race week poster, it looks like it should be a track that is conducive to good racing. It looks like it's got all the relevant ingredients. Somehow, all those ingredients come together to make a turd burger.
turd burger. Yeah, all right then. I'll let you eat that turd burger next week here on the pod.
I know. I hope beyond hope that next week is a classic.
Me too. Again, not to be Charlie Brown running up to kick the ball and have Lucy pull it away every time I go to Mexico to watch. Turn my TV on to Mexico to watch. I'm optimistic. I mean, because there have been so many confusing races this year. So many places where we expected a banger like today, and we didn't get one. And then there's storylines we find. The fan in us enjoys it. I'm going to watch as much F1 as I can until they put it behind the Apple TV paywall, and then I got to sit there that one day and just like bite the bullet and buy the damn package. But yeah, man, I'm excited for next week. I can't wait. And plus, it's once again not at the crack of dawn, so I'm excited for that too.
Yeah, true. I mean, I do wonder, we had the rant earlier on about Pirelli. I do feel this year, I was looking back at some of the notes, I just feel that this year that should have been, and maybe it will be, like we've got 3 drivers going potentially for the title, so it could be an epic end to the season, but in the year of convergence, when all the cars are supposed to be at the closest they've ever been, it does feel like somehow Pirelli have managed to completely screw that up by just giving us compounds that just don't seem to work. So, oh, by the way, we completely forgot to do our casino games last week for COTA. So because you forgot, I'm claiming a win in all 3 games. So I've closed this right up going into Mexico. We really should do casino games. So I know I hadn't told you about this at all, but are you ready with the roulette wheel? We got to do this because we're going to completely forget otherwise. And
I will be ready shortly here with the roulette wheel.
Perfect. So I'm going to take the COTA ones that we should have done. So I'm first for roulette, you're first for blackjack, and I'm first for 3-card poker, which would have been the COTA order if we'd remembered to do them. So have you got the roulette table ready to spin?
No, I apparently lost the roulette table. I found it. I thought I had moved it. All right. It is time for roulette. Please don't be 20th. You gave me a bad link here.
Go on, give us first. What is it?
19.
Oh, spin again. We're not taking 19. Come on, spin again.
All right, here it goes.
Why is this always coming
It's so
such
broken.
a low number?
All right, this is 9.
9. Okay, that's better. Okay. I'm gonna go for Fernando Alonso.
Damn it, that's exactly who I was gonna say. I swear to God, no joke. I was going Fernando. All right, then I will go. I'm gonna say Carlos Sainz.
Ooh, okay. Right, then we have blackjack. So if you're new to this...
Oh, I forgot Carlos is a 5-place grid penalty.
I know, but you've done it now. You took your finger off the piece. If you're
did.
new to this, then we have a season-long Rob versus Brian event. We've got these casino games. So the first one is roulette, where we spin the wheel and find out what number it gives us. We have to predict who's going to finish there. This one is blackjack. So we have to pick 2 drivers that are going to finish in points-paying positions that will total to 21 and not a point higher. So, okay, who am I going to pick for my blackjacks? Oh man, it's like.
Wait, you're just going first for all these?
Oh no, it's you first, isn't it? Sorry.
I mean, I'm
it's
just
you
checking
first.
to see if I'm allowed to play.
No. I was looking at the point scoring to work out who I'm going to pick. Go, you go.
I'll take the Ferrari boys.
Both of them.
That's I pluralized boy.
Charles and Lewis, you hope sum to 21. So 21 is second spot is 18 points. Oh, there's no 3 points, so there's no point me going for someone down there. So
I like your accuracy. You're trying to get exactly 21.
I want to hit 21.
When only think this happened once, and it was me, if I remember right.
No, we both hit 21. I want third and seventh. That's going to hit me 21. So Mexico. Surely. Right, okay. I'm going to go Oscar. And I'm going to assume he's going to be third. And then down in the lower echelons, I'm going to give Albon. That feels so risky. Okay, Oscar and Albon. Then we got our 3-card poker, which is like pick 3 cars that will finish next to each other, try to get them in the right order to get us straight. As long as you get 3 of them together, I'm first. So I can't do the Max Lando Oscar thing anymore because that doesn't feel like it's nailed on anymore. What I will take then is Max to win Mexico. Max Lando. I'm going to repeat today. Max Lando Charles.
Okay.
There it is. What are you going for?
I'm going the opposite end. I'm happy you decided that you needed to kind of keep this going in that regard, where you said, "All right, I'm gonna stick with the top because I'm going with the bottom. I'm going with the Alpine boys and Bortoletto."
Oh, nice. Which order?
Pierre, Gabriel, Franco.
Okay, that's that locked and loaded. We will see how we got on next week. In terms of the Rob versus Brian midweek predictions, you lost out this week, my friend, because you had Lando from Max from Oscar.
And you had Max first.
I had Max from Lando from Oscar. So we both bummed out big style on Oscar, but I got the Max in the correct position. So, I'm better than you, and you suck, and I'm amazing. Yay!
Speaking of sucking, next week's tires, I just was looking. Pirelli's bringing the C2 as the hard, the C4 as the medium, and the C5 as the soft. So we're not seeing the C6 again, which we knew they were trying to sort of dropping. I do like the fact they're going soft. I'm tired of the non-sequential thing where they think they're being smart and cool about it. Just give us a C3, C4, C5 and make people figure it out. The C2 either is going to be a usable hard tire and get people and make this a one-stopper, or it's going to be so bad that they're going to just do it again, C4, C5. I can't see there being a two-stopper. You gave them the C2. We're going to see a one-stopper.
Yeah. Agree. And in terms of repeat winners, just to round out our Mexico, then Max leads the way with 5, from Jim Clark with 3, and Prost, Mansell, and Hamilton with 2. And then in the constructors, it's Red Bull with 5. Surprise, surprise. Same 5 as Max. Lotus with 4, and then McLaren, Ferrari, Williams, Mercedes with 3. So the big question is going to be, can McLaren stem the flow of points towards Max? They just need to get their cars ahead. Maybe they need to tell one of their cars to drive into Max. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting because as much as I think that Max is just coming from too far back, it will only take one DNF to really put the cat amongst the pigeons. So we shall see. If Max carries on doing what he's doing, where he qualifies in pole and he can drive away from the front, he's probably not likely to get caught up in all this crap that happens behind. So, do you know what? If this is the FIA controlling all of this and it's fixed and they're just trying to do a 3-way shootout that all 3 of them have a chance to win the title on the last day in Abu Dhabi, then I'll sign up for that right now.
Totally agree. Just don't let Michael Massey be one of the adjudicators.
True.
Rob, anything else for you this week?
No, I'm done. Thanks, fella.
I am as well. We went long. There was a lot to talk about, even though a lot of it wasn't on track and it wasn't that exciting, but a lot of things that we wanted to make sure we looked at, because F1 is the best. As are you. Thank you for listening. We will be back in 1 week's time with a recap of the Mexican Grand Prix. Be well, be safe, everybody.